Hello guys, Mike MDs. Today we have a 2011 BMW 128i convertible. That's on the hoist up here. Customer hit something on the freeway. They took it to the body shop. They got it back from the body shop, and after driving a while, a bunch of crazy warning lights came on, like a Christmas tree in the cluster. Also, the battery ended up dying on them. The car has been sitting for a couple months. The customer brought it here. So first thing we're gonna do is replace the battery, start from scratch, and see what we got. So we sold the customer a battery to do first, just because we can't maintain voltage on it. And it looks like somebody just replaced a battery on it. It's dead again, so it definitely has a pretty strong draw on the battery. So we're gonna put a fresh one in. Hopefully the customer can warranty this wherever he had it done. Maybe the body shop did it, I don't know. But we're gonna start fresh with a new battery. Hopefully we can interrogate fault codes and see what kind of codes it has. Sometimes if it has a lot, we have to kind of clear everything and then start from scratch, try to start it, and then whatever codes come back, those are current codes, and we can focus on that. All right, going back together with a new battery. And after this, if I can hook it up to the computer, I'll register the battery to the vehicle. It just tells the vehicle has a new battery. It just changes the way it charges it is all. Looking at the fault codes, there's not really anything that totally stands out. I would say maybe here, this electric coolant pump, the bit serial data, this fault can cause the alternator not to charge as well. It's a bus system that it shares with the oil level sensor, electric coolant pump, and also the battery terminal, the intelligent battery terminal. So if any of them are down, it kind of messes all of them up. But basically probably what I'm going to do is see if the charging system is working. So I'm going to start it right now and see where this is at. Well, right now I have the charger on. I'm going to disconnect the charger. All right, start it up. Check the charging system real quick, see where we're at. All right, as of now, engine's running and the charging system's looking good, 14.1. It's exactly where we want it. So what I'm going to do is go on a test drive and see if there's any other warning lights that pop on and go from there. All right, it's the next day. The car started right up after that battery replacement from yesterday, which is good. It means there's not really a draw, so that's good news for the customer here. Went on a test drive, everything was good. I did have a couple of warning lights on. We had something for engine overheating, so that would make sense with this coolant pump. Check the wiring, everything looks good, so I'm gonna recommend a coolant pump. They do go bad on these because they're electric. They take a dump, so that and a thermostat I'll recommend. There was also a traction control warning faults that came on the instrument cluster, but there's no codes in here. But earlier when I paged over, there was a steering angle sensor internal fault, and that will cause those lights. That's pretty common on this model when it gets up there in age, so I'll probably be recommending that too. And then the other warning that came on is the tire pressure monitor system. The system is down, the computer is not responding. Everything's plugged in, no wiring damage, so we're going to recommend a new computer. That also has to be programmed as well. So we'll see what the customer wants to do with this thing. It felt good when I drove it, so we'll see. Right, talking to the customer, he only wants to do the stuff that could leave him stranded, which is basically what we have here. So the engine drive belt with tensioner, actually the belt is new. We're going to replace the tensioner. It has an issue where this tensioner starts going bad. It gets some slack in it, and the drive belt starts walking off of the pulley, and we'll show you that in there. And this bolt here is aluminum, one-time use only, torque to yield, so we have to replace it. And then the other thing that could possibly leave them stranded is the coolant pump here. This is an electric coolant pump, and when they have a fault code, you definitely want to replace it because that means it's on its way out, and this one had that fault code, so it's a good idea to do it. And then also what's bolted to this thing here is a coolant thermostat. It's made out of plastic. We have to take it off anyway. It's a good idea to do it now. And also the mounting bolts for the pump are also aluminum, and we're going to replace those. On this job, we're going to start with the water pump and the thermostat. So we're going to take this bottom skid plate off here. Bottom cover is off, and the pump is way up in here, and the thermostat is next to it here. So I'm gonna have to remove some stuff. This bracing section right here, and then also the sway bar, and I might have to loosen up the steering rack a little bit to get some room. Let's see what we have here. All right, I got one of the braces down out of there. The sway bar is down here. It's just hanging right here. I got the power steering line to the side right here. And this brace right here, I couldn't get it out because the customer is missing the mounting puck. So it's resting on here. I guess I could lower it. The problem is this is a good spot for it to hang on because there's a hollow spot in there. So I'm just gonna leave it in. So I'm just gonna leave this in and put it to the side. And then right now you can see it's a lot more accessible with the pump and the thermostat. So I'm just gonna leave the rack here, the steering rack, and I'm gonna start taking these hoses off and let it drain all the coolant out and go to town on it. All right, I almost got all the hoses off of the thermostat, which is that guy right there. And there's one that's way up in there. It's kind of hard to get. So I'm gonna remove the pump first because now I can access all the bolts, and then remove the pump, and then I will start working on the thermostat again to get that last hose off. Get this pump out. One hose is hung up on it. Let's see if I can get it undone here. There it is. All right, so the pump is out. I always like to look at the impeller to see if I see anything down. Well, the type of fault that this one had was a communication fault, a bus fault, that this system communicates with other components via a bus data line. And that was down. And if that is down, the pump will either not work or it'll run on full blast all the time, which either one can make you actually overheat. But usually what happens, what I see, is water ends up getting into the circuit board in here where all the electrical components are, and it kind of messes it up. Something burns out in there. But there's also other kind of fault codes that this pump will set. It will have one where it'll say low coolant, or coolant mixture is bad, or pump speed deviation, or blockage, or run out time. There's all kinds of faults that this pump can actually set. Really any one of them, as long as there's no obstruction or anything obvious, it all pretty much leads to a bad pump. And when these go bad, it doesn't really let you know. It just stops working and it leaves you stuck. So anytime there's a code for this, I always recommend it because it'll eventually leave you stranded. All right, now with the pump out, I have quite a bit of room because there's one other hose clamp that's facing in this weird direction directly against the frame. You can't get to it unless you make room for it. So it's on the back side of here. Once I get that off, I can remove everything, clean it up in here a little bit, and start going back together. All right, the new pump and thermostat are in. I got the sway bar back up and the strut braces, or the bracing, underneath here. So I'm just gonna put the paneling back up here, bring it down, put some fresh coolant, bleed the system, and then we can work on the drive belt tensioner. All right, now we're gonna bleed the coolant system. I have a battery charger on here, and how to do it is we're gonna turn the heater on low, turn the AC off here, turn the heater on. I like to put it on the ground, get rid of that, turn these up right here, and then I'm gonna press the gas pedal down for about 10 seconds all the way past that little detent, and then after that I should hear that. I can hear it already. I can hear the water squirting in the reservoir. So I can hear it doing its thing right now. The pump is trying to get all the air bubbles out. It doesn't want to go full blast right away because it doesn't want to burn the pump up as the coolant lubricates everything in the pump. So it slowly will turn on, it'll shut off, it'll turn on again, and it'll go through different speed ranges. So it's doing it right now. You can hear it. You can see some stuff happening in there. So periodically I'm going to have to add a little bit of coolant. This whole thing takes only about 5 minutes. It's not a big deal. All right, you can start to really see it squirting in there now. It's getting all the air bubbles out here. I'll do it for a couple more minutes. And obviously you have to have a battery charger on here because that pump does draw quite a bit of amperage. You don't want to kill your battery. So basically what this is doing is not only circulating everything, but it's opening the thermostat, as the thermostat is electronically controlled. So it's going to open the thermostat. It's also going to go through the heater core. That's why the heater is on. That's why you have to do that. It opens everything up, cycling through. So when it's done, after 5 minutes, some of these will shut off automatically. Some of them, it'll keep going continuously. So you have to shut it off yourself. But 5 minutes, it's plenty, and it's ready to drive right after that. When I do drive it, I like to put the heater on just to make sure that I'm feeling hot air, and then after the car cools down after the test drive, we can top it off again. So I'm just gonna let this go for a couple more minutes, and I'm gonna start working on the tensioner over here. All right, I'm gonna take this intake cowling off just so I can gain access in here. This is a T20, Torx bit 20. I got all 4 of those screws out here. Take this thing off. All right, I got the T60 in here. See where it's at there. And I'm going to pull this, here we go, like that, and then remove the belt here. All right, now I'm going to remove the center bolt here. This is the bolt that you have to replace after, because it's a torque to yield, a one-time use only. It's like a stretch bolt, and it's aluminum, so of course the integrity is compromised after one use. If you do reuse it and do end up torquing it to spec, which is doubtful, but if you do, it will break. I promise you that. Okay, old one's out. Now you can see, you see this gap in here. This is where it pivots, right? This is where it pivots, the spring on this thing. See the spring? It pivots on this center and outer. If you look at the gap right here, it's almost nothing compared to up here. So it is cockeyed a little bit. That's what's causing the belt to ride off this thing. The belt can slip off. You can see where it's riding on here. It's coming off the edge. You go to pass like a big rig on the freeway or something, and the belt ends up flying off on this thing. So it's a good idea. Also, puts extra tension on this bolt. A lot of times I'll see these coming in with a bolt head broken, and this thing completely cockeyed off like this, and the belt has come off. So the new one here, you can see the gap is very even all along. See that there? So this is preventative maintenance. You know, this is stuff that prevents you from breaking down. It's easy stuff. I just want to keep an eye on it. And this right here is a pin to keep this under tension. Makes going back together a lot easier. So right now I'm going to have to look up the torque spec on this bolt because I don't remember. A little tight in there. Get it. All right, so this thing had a joining torque of 25 Newton meters and 90 degrees angle torque here. All right, there it is. Let's do 90 degrees. I needed 2 hands for that one there, so I did it. It's already set. So now I just have to guide the belt on here. Release a little tension, pull the pin out, and we're set. Okay. Right there, pull the pin. There we are. Before going all the way back together, just want to make sure it's sitting true to the pulley, which it is. Everything looks good. All right, everything's done. We did the battery, registered the battery to the vehicle. We did the water pump, the thermostat, bled the coolant system after adding a fresh coolant 50-50 mix. And we did, what else? Oh, the tensioner. We did the tensioner for the drive belt. Now test drive time. Make sure everything's good, no warnings come on. I did clear the fault codes to get rid of those faults we had earlier for the coolant pump. So far so good. I'm at the beginning of the test drive, but I'm sure everything will be fantastic after double check, make sure there's no coolant leaks and it's not going to overheat, and customer's going to be happy. I just want to thank you guys for joining me on this little video. It's not a how-to, but it's just kind of day-to-day what goes on in the shop and what I deal with. Some jobs like this are pretty fun. They're kind of straightforward, and they're a joy to do. So guys, I'll see you on the next one. Don't forget to like, subscribe. Happy motoring to you.